Oh, cool. Well, thank you for sitting down with me. I really appreciate it. You were phenomenal in the film, by the way.
You.
It's a pretty physical movie. A lot of running, a lot of action. Talk about getting in shape. Any training involved?
Yeah, no, I mean, luckily I'm in just about enough shape to run,
Right.
and fast at times. But it was really the action. It's a kind of cat and mouse game. And Angelina was really sort of setting the pace for the movement aspects of it, and it was kind of interesting to chase her and just try and keep up. With what she was doing a little bit.
What's interesting about your character is that you really never know if you're a good guy or a bad guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's a weird dynamic. Talk about getting in the mindset for that, because the whole movie I'm like, does he want to save her? Does he want to kill her? I mean, I never knew. It was a really cool dynamic you had going on.
Well, I was interested in doing a character that didn't have like a traditional sort of arc. It's not like a guy who starts in one place psychologically and ends in another place psychologically. And goes through this kind of journey, which is the basis of a lot of I suppose a lot of 90% of characters. They move through to different places. And was many times the basis of how a character would be described, as having a kind of arc. And I was fascinated with a character that doesn't have an arc, that is exactly the same person at the beginning of the film as he is at the end. And in fact, what changes is the audience's perspective of the character. And I felt like that was a really interesting and pretty unique way of approaching a character, I thought.
Now, is that's your approach to the script? They don't say, this is what you're, I mean, obviously there's a script, but I mean, that's how you approached it?
Yeah, that's how I saw it. That's how I saw the guy, that he wasn't, that there was not a kind of passionate change in his identity or his perspective of what was happening. He's there to do his job as he can focus on it. And a part of the script that functions incredibly well, I think, is that then as that's happening, like a sundial, an audience is thinking about him in totally different ways, but he has this kind of sharp consistency, and I thought that was kind of cool.
It was really cool. I mean, I love that aspect of the movie. Last time I talked to you was for a Red Belt MMA movie.
Yeah.
Do you follow UFC at all? Are you a UFC fan?
I studied a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was doing the movie and in preparation for the movie, and I guess that's what I when I do switch on a little UFC or whatever, that's what I like to see. I like to kind of see some of the moves. It's interesting. I think it's. I always thought it was just a fascinating martial art, and I love the philosophy of it, and it was a great time.
One thing about you and your performances is that I always find myself emotionally attached to everything you've done, like character-wise. Like I always feel like I'm invested. I want to know where your character's going, and I guess it kind of goes off the other question I asked you earlier about your emotional arc in the movie. But what are you doing consciously to get the audience to learn who you are and actually feel all of your emotions in the movie?
Well, I feel like
it's a loaded question, but yeah. Yeah. What do you do? How do you act?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of acting is, and what people, I think, connect to is a kind of inner life. I think that's always the strong impulse. I think if people understand what's happening internally, if they feel like they know you, they feel like they know the character in some way or relate to the character in some way, then they're sort of more inclined to want to care, to have sort of an empathetic response, or any kind of response. It doesn't need to be a kind of sympathetic response. It can be a repulsion, but it's a question of connecting to something in the character. And I think all you can do in order to achieve that, hopefully, is to play things as truthfully as you can, and then people can have an opportunity to jump on the train.
Last quick question for you. You've worked with some of the greatest directors in Hollywood, Woody Allen, Richard Curtis, Alfonso Cuarón, which is one of the most brilliant films I've ever seen, Children of Men. Was there ever a director, because you've done so many films now, was there ever a director that you got the script and go, I'm going to work with this guy, this is going to be amazing, and you had a fascinating experience? I'm sure all of them have been great, but was there somebody in particular you were so excited to work with that you've gotten to work with?
Well, it's been an incredible ride for me, and the directors that I've been able to work with, have really, been exceptional, and I guess it's hard to select. Right? It's a really, but the films you mentioned, of course, and actually doing Children of Men with Alfonso was was a remarkable experience, and it's I think an incredible movie, and was a real joy to work on. Cinematographers still come up to me and Like, how did you do the bit with the
one
thing with
take.
the? How did that work with the thing? And and some of the secrets are out on YouTube, but it's still amazing to me that Alfonso and Emanuele Lubezki, the DP, could construct something that even the sort of most prolific cinematographers still kind of have to look at sort of twice to figure it out. It's amazing.
Well, congratulations on the film. You were amazing in it, and I love all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.